Let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Authentically Rubes, a place where we take care of our mind, body, and souls in our most authentic way. Today's topic is something I'm super excited about and something that I have been working on basically since I started working on myself and getting more connected to myself about 5 years ago. So this is a super exciting video that's been 5 years in the making. So today I'm going to teach you how you can start becoming your own therapist. And does this mean that this is a replacement for actual therapy? No. But I'm just saying that as someone who this has worked wonders for, I just want to share and let everyone know the tips and tricks that have just helped me feel emotionally so much more in control and aligned and regulated. I've done talk counseling before. I feel like I wasn't very open to it at the age I was at because I was super young when I was having anxiety and my parents sent me to it. Honestly, these things have helped me so much, and I've never even thought like I need to go talk to someone else. I love my own company. I love working through things on my own. So if you are like that, this may be the exact thing that you need to hear today. So you're probably thinking, that's a little bit of a crazy statement. How the heck do you become your own therapist? Let me tell you. So, step number one for me was finding an outlet, because that's what the basis of therapy is. It's having a safe space to talk and just get everything out of your mind, everything that's been bothering you and weighing on you, just out into the open. And for me, I do this in a couple different ways. I either do it through journaling, that was my big one that I started with. I think I would write out like 1 to 3 pages a day. I still do it 1 page a day right now, but just writing out anything that came to my mind. And this is especially helpful for if you're going through a rougher time, if you're experiencing some emotional distress or you're dealing with something just that you keep thinking about over and over that's really not supporting you. It's finding that awareness and noticing that and being like, okay, it's time to get this out of me. Because when you notice something coming up over and over, it's a feeling that's wanting to be felt, and it's a lesson that clearly is needing to be learned. So, the first step I would say is get a journal. Take some time to journal with yourself every day. That is that safe space between you and the journal. No one else is going to see it. You can even hide it somewhere if you really want to make sure no one ever finds it. Just be so open and honest, because that is how you develop a deeper connection with yourself, and it's how you trust yourself more. It's how you allow yourself to let go more and really get to the root cause of why you're feeling these things and why you're experiencing these things. It's really interesting to go back to old journal sessions too and just noticing what you wrote and just seeing how far you've come and all the things you've learned. I just think that's super fun to just skim through them, and also just the amazing ideas you get from journaling too, like the insights that just flow through when you just trust yourself and you just let yourself write whatever comes to your mind without logicking your way through it. It's magical. And I think it's really how we master our self connection. And I think that's a huge part of being your own therapist. It's being able to be there for yourself, hold space for yourself, and accept whatever comes up in the moment, which is definitely a learning process. You're not instantly going to accept everything that comes up. I've had so many things where I did not want to write them down because I was embarrassed or I felt guilty or I just felt scared to write them down too. So it's slowly gaining that trust in yourself more by making a daily practice or even a weekly practice if that's a little bit easier for you to start off with. It's just really making that time for you and for your inner world, because our inner worlds create our outer world. So it's so important to be taking care of that aspect of us. It's honestly one of the most important things that we can do, I believe. Another thing, if you're not a huge writer, is you can also speak out your thoughts and feelings too. Like, if you want to record them so you can go back to them, you can do it on voice memos. You can even make a little video, or you can just say it out loud. I do this all the time. I did this the other day actually. I was having just like a terrible mental health day and I felt so emotional. I was like avoiding my feelings, watching Netflix, just doing anything to distract myself. At one point, I was like, okay, enough is enough. I decided it was time to actually face what I had been running from all day long. So I sat in my bed and I just bawled my eyes out And I said exactly what I've been thinking all day. I said all the things I was afraid of. I said all the things that had been on my mind that had just been weighing on me. And then once I said it out loud, I felt like it released it from the tight grip that I had on it for that entire day. And it felt so freeing. It's insane to me how just speaking it out loud just allows our minds to clear. And then also just taking some deep breaths within that process too, like that clarity starts to flow again. And then no longer are you overrun by emotion, because when we're high emotion, our logic tends to be a lot lower. So when we let out that emotion, we can actually start to see clearly and be like, wow, like maybe I am overthinking this. Maybe this isn't as bad as I think it is. And I also noticed, which is so amazing to me, is that when I started doing that practice, about halfway through, my mindset started to shift. Like I started to shift into like, well, I'm proud of myself that I showed up and did this. Like even though I was still upset and I was still not super happy with how things were in the present moment, I was starting to be proud of myself. I was starting to acknowledge the good things that were happening in my life. It was crazy. It was like this little shift that I wasn't even planning on happening. It really did just show me that we are so powerful. We can be our own therapists if we want to, if we show up for ourselves, if we choose to take that responsibility and be accountable and be consistent. Because that's really all going to therapy is. It's number one, like to help you heal and feel better, definitely, but it's also like an accountability practice too. Like going to see that person every week to make sure you show up for yourself. If you can get disciplined enough to actually show up for yourself in these moments, even if it's when you're at your wits' end, like I was that day, it's so powerful. Like it's such an amazing thing that you can do and that you have access to every minute of every single day. Another great self awareness practice that I do that has helped me to be my own version of a therapist is one little question that I ask myself consistently throughout my day. It'll be when I notice I'm doing something that's really not supporting my mind, body, spirit, goals, purpose in any way, shape, or form. Like when I'm just scrolling on my phone for no reason, I'll ask myself, is this really supporting me right now? Honestly, it varies sometimes. Scrolling is definitely my biggest thing that I'm working on right now, and I know so many of us are too. It's just becoming aware in those moments, because then you start to be like, you know what? No, like this isn't supportive. Like, what could I do that's actually going to make me feel good right now? What's something I can do for myself? It's just these little awareness shifts that we can create every single day. And the more that you ask yourself, is this supporting me? You'll start to naturally want to do more activities that are actually going to better you instead of ones that you know just are really doing nothing for you, which can be a tricky one because, yes, it is difficult to break out of old habits and habitual ways of doing things. But just try doing that a little bit every single day. Yes, I still scroll, but I feel like I scroll a lot less than I did with starting to ask myself this question. And I think that's what a huge part of therapy is just developing self-awareness. It's becoming an observer in your life, noticing your thoughts, noticing your feelings, and connecting to yourself in that way, and actually acknowledging what's going on within you instead of making excuses, instead of blaming other people, instead of distracting ourselves. I also do agree that having a therapist, you would get that support one on one, which is nice as well from another person, and you get advice from them too. But honestly, there's so much information online these days, all around personal growth, all around mindset, all around healing. Like, honestly, you can literally learn anything online these days. And I think that if you have the strength and the discipline and the wanting to just live your best and most enjoyable life, like, I really believe that you can do it. And if you show up for yourself in these little ways every single day, like, it's just going to get easier and easier, because when we emotionally feel good inside, our outside world is so much more beautiful. We appreciate so much more. We live more in the present moment, and we actually create more of what we want to experience subconsciously, which is so cool to me. Another thing that I quickly want to touch on that I talk about a lot, so I don't want to go too much into detail on it, is just embodiment practices. It's one of my absolute favorite things I do that helps me to emotionally regulate and just really feel through things, to let them be released and to let myself move on, especially if I'm experiencing overwhelm, stress, anger. Like, I'd say those are my top three, or even just like sadness, kind of going on the path towards a depressive episode. It's getting that body moving. I know you always hear move your body and you'll feel better. Like, it's so freaking true. Even if it's just like you do 10 jumping jacks. If you feel sad but you do 10 jumping jacks, it might inspire you to like go take a bath, to go for a walk, to read a book, to do something that's gonna make you feel a little bit better, even if it's just a little thing. The amazing parts of life are in the little things. And then also dancing and working out. Like, my favorite way of feeling is through dance. If I just feel so much emotion in my body that I literally do not know what to do with it, I set the intention of allowing that emotion to be moved through me. And I know that a lot of the time when we feel these emotions, we are not in a place where we can do that, especially if you're in public, especially if you're at work. It's not really socially acceptable to just break out into a full on dance party, which is 100% fair. So even if you take like one day a week, one day a month, just to play some music that feels aligned with you and just to dance through anything that you've been feeling, it's also a great way to get out of your head and into your body, because our bodies are so wise and have so much knowledge, I feel like we barely use, because we're so stuck in our heads and we're so stuck in trying to logic our way through everything, when really the intuitive factors in our body just know so much, and they're here to support us and help us when we tap into them. The amount of times I've gained insights and answers and just gotten closer to myself through dancing is crazy. It's just when you give your mind a break and allow your body to do what it wants to do, and allow things to move through you and be healed from there. It's just such a beautiful process. And it really just adds to that sense of trust that we're trying to create as becoming our own therapist. Because obviously, you need to trust your therapist if you're going to tell them all these personal things that you don't really want anyone else to know about you. So it's all about developing that self trust that you would want with that other person. Because I feel like when we develop this within ourselves, like, that's when we become so unstoppable and so powerful, because when we know we have our own backs, like, we start to believe that we can do anything. And that's really where I feel like I've gotten to with doing these practices. It's just all so exciting, and I want every single person to believe that they can live and be anything that they want. And that's my entire purpose and vision behind Authentically Rubed, is to help people feel better and to help people believe in themselves, because that was my biggest thing that I felt was holding me back, was not believing in myself. And I never really realized that I didn't until I would take action, and I just wouldn't even want to, because I thought like I was just going to fail right off the bat. I wouldn't even want to put in the work because I was like, oh, it probably won't work anyways. But that's where being my own therapist has come into this. And I've learned to trust myself so much more and truly listen to the inner guidance that I've received. Now I'm just on my way to truly building the career that I know is meant for me. And I feel so much better going into it, actually believing in it and actually believing in myself. Another amazing side effect of doing these practices and becoming your own therapist is that you become your own best friend too, and your biggest cheerleader. Because how we speak to ourselves is so freaking important. And if we're just talking down to ourselves and hating on ourselves all the time, obviously we're not going to feel very good. It's like we're just bullying ourselves. And I've been there. I have been my biggest bully. Like, my dad would always say to me, like, be kind to Ruby. He would say to me, you don't need a bully. Like, you bully yourself. You literally don't need anyone else to be mean to you. And that really opened my eyes, because like, we're the only person that we're going to spend our entire lives with. Why would we want to spend it just hating ourselves? I don't know about you, but once I figured that out, I was like, I want to love myself. Like, I want to enjoy the time I have with myself, because it's short and we don't know when it's going to end. We might as well put our all into enjoying it right here and right now. And that is all through our mindset and our self image and connecting with the version of ourselves that we truly want to be. Like, lately, I've been connecting with my most confident self. Like, my affirmation for it is, I am pure confidence. Sitting with that, taking some deep breaths, and I just feel into what my most confident self feels like. And then you can even add some visualization in there too. Like, what do they look like? What are they wearing? Like, what are they doing on a daily basis? Just to like make it a little more fun. But for me, focusing on the feeling, I believe, is just where things start to actually change and shift. Because sure, we can focus on the external aspects, but once we start to feel, that's where we can vibrationally and energetically align with that version of us. And soon enough, we are that version of us. I also even made this vision board right here, just all about representing my highest self. It's all about how I want to feel as my highest self. So, highly recommend that too. That was a super fun practice that I did. So, try out these practices. If you do, please let me know. I would love to hear how it goes for you. And I wish you the best of luck becoming your own therapist and taking control of living your best life. I also do want to add that if you really do feel like you are struggling and are needing more support, definitely reach out to a mental health professional. And if you're just wanting support with being accountable and showing up for yourself and just embodying that highest, most happy version of you, also reach out to me for one on one coaching as well, because I would be so honored to support you and guide you on your own journey. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening today. Have a great rest of your day. May it be as magical as you.